At the break of dawn, the harbor lay untouched. Battleships floated in solemn silence, their vast shadows stretching across waters painted gold by the rising sun. The cries of seagulls drifted lazily, mingling with the gentle rhythm of waves. The calm was so complete it felt eternal. Yet beneath the stillness, destiny stirred. The lens glided slowly across the steel skin of a colossal battleship, rivets catching the first light of morning. Every detail shone with precision, the anchor chains resting heavy, the deck polished by salt and time. But in that moment of tranquility, a whisper grew, faint at first, like a vibration in the air, then stronger, until the horizon itself trembled. From the edge of the sky they appeared, dozens of aircraft, their wings glinting like blades of iron beneath the rising sun, slicing forward in ruthless formation. Their shadows swept across the sea like predatory birds, growing larger with each passing second. The harbor below lay unaware, still cloaked in the illusion of peace. Shadows spread across the steel decks, sailors pausing mid-step, frozen in the sudden weight of realization. Eyes lifted skyward, wide with disbelief, as the roar of engines filled the air. It was the sound of inevitability, drowning the dawn in dread. And then, the whistle. A single bomb plummeted from the heavens, shrieking as it split the sky. When it struck, the harbor convulsed. Fire and water leapt skyward, steel shook, and in one instant, serenity was consumed by chaos. Flames raced across the decks, searing paint, shattering wood, and curling steel. Oil spilled like dark veins into the sea, only to ignite moments later. Rivers of fire spread across the ocean until the water itself seemed aflame, glowing orange and red like molten lava. The air filled with the sound of cracking fire and the metallic groans of tortured hulls. Then came the answer. Anti-aircraft batteries roared awake, barrels recoiling as they spat endless streams of tracers into the sky. Red-hot lines crisscrossed the heavens, cutting through smoke in violent streaks. The defenders fought with fury, but the enemy pressed on. Squadrons split into deadly clusters, diving at impossible speeds, their engines shrieking like predators in pursuit. A battleship groaned as a bomb tore into its deck, fire erupting in waves that reached higher than its towers. Towers collapsed, steel bent, and the giant shuddered, flames consuming it from bow to stern. Around it, more ships fell victim. Some exploded in fiery bursts, others sank slowly, tilting into the water as waves devoured them. The harbor became a vision of apocalypse. Explosions rolled in relentless waves, each blast shaking the sea and air alike. Wreckage rained down, twisted steel and burning fragments hammering decks already aflame. Submarines docked at the edge were torn apart beneath the surface, their explosions muffled but powerful, sending shock waves that erupted upward, tossing ships like toys. The water itself turned hostile. Shock waves rolled across the harbor, waves surging violently against ships still afloat. Decks tilted, men and machines were swept away, and fire danced on the rising spray. The sea was no longer a refuge. It had become another weapon in the war. Above, the sky itself had changed. Smoke thickened into black walls that blotted out the sun, tracer rounds glowing like fiery veins through the darkness. Bombers fell in spirals of flame, their trails twisting down like burning comets before vanishing into the ocean. The heavens had become a furnace where fire reigned and death circled in endless arcs. The defenders refused to yield. Cannons thundered, their barrels glowing white-hot, shaking the very decks that carried them. Brass casings poured in rivers across the steel floors, clattering with each desperate round. Some planes fell, wings torn away, fuselages erupting mid-air, but more came, their shadows multiplying, blotting out what little light remained. One battleship, scarred and weakened, could endure no more. A barrage tore through its heart, splitting its steel frame. The giant groaned, tilting to one side. With a roar like the cry of a dying god, it collapsed into the sea, sending a tidal wave across the harbor. Fire hissed as water consumed it, but the inferno continued. Columns of flame rose higher, some erupting from fuel stores in detonations so massive they pierced the sky. The horizon disappeared behind the choking gray. From above, the harbor was no longer a harbor. It was a wasteland of flame and steel, its surface glowing like molten fire. And then came the final squadron. Emerging from the smoke, they descended in tight formation, engines roaring in defiance. Bombs rained once more, bullets stitched the decks, and the harbor groaned under the storm of steel. The defenders fired with the last of their strength, tracer fire weaving a blazing net across the heavens. One enemy plane was caught, shredded midair, bursting into a fireball before plunging into the sea. Yet others pressed on, hammering what little remained. At last, the assault ended. Engines faded into the distance, the roar of war retreating into silence. What remained was ruin. The harbor, once a fortress of steel, had become a graveyard. Half-sunken ships leaned like gravestones in the blackened water. Smoke towers still rose, but the fire was dying. Embers drifted down like fiery snow, covering the ruins in a shroud of ash. The sky was unrecognizable. Ash clouds hung heavy, suffocating the sun, turning day into an eternal twilight. The horizon vanished, replaced by a haze of smoke and faint orange glow. On a shattered deck, a flag burned slowly, fabric curling into ash until nothing remained but sparks carried away by the wind. Above, the last of the attackers disappeared into the smoke. Below, the ocean claimed the broken titans, dragging them into the depths. The sea was quiet now, but it carried with it oil, blood, and steel, a blackened mirror of the destruction above. The camera of memory pulled back. The harbor shrank into shadow, a panorama of ruins stretching endlessly. Smoke and fire blurred together, and the ocean reflected the last sparks of dying flames. Slowly, the light dimmed, swallowed by silence until nothing remained. The battle was over.